Hello, everybody. This is my opening preparation. I use Lichess to store my opening prep. And as you can see, I have three parts to my opening repertoire. The first is the opening lines that I play as white. The second is the ones I play as black. And the third one is flashcards. So I'll tell you all about it. First, let's see what my opening prep is white. As you can see, I have a few chapters. So I play the Rule Opus, and I play the a few separate special lines against Sicilian as well as against French Caracan and against Scandinavian. I've also included like traps that have happened in my games so that I know how to react to them if it happens again. For example, let me show you the main line of Rule Opus, which I usually play. So d4. This is what I do as Rule Opus after Rule Opus. b5, bishop back, castles, and early d4. This is like a special line. The main move here is just c3, c3, d6, h3, and then after, let's say, knight a5, bishop back, c5, and d4. This is the main line of Rule Opus. But this tricky line is there where we directly play d4. This is what I do in some of my games. So I have the next few moves stored here so that if I need to revise it, I can just go through it. The next few moves are if knight takes pawn, there's a very nice move, bishop f7. And here rook takes, sorry, rook takes, we have knight hangs. So if knight c6, we just take, and then e5. And when king goes, sorry, knight moves to e8, we have queen c6, queen f3, or queen d5 actually. This is why I store it so that I can revise it just before a tournament and get in shape, get in form. King f8, rook e3, and the game goes on. So this is one of my lines. I've also stored my preparation against a marshal when Rule Opus is responded to with the marshal. Then against Sicilian, I have a special line where I just go knight out, d6, and bishop d3. That's another interesting opening. And there is this trap in the Scandinavian which I actually faced and lost in a game. So that happened like this: knight out, gambit, b4, knight takes, c4, and here knight b4. So one thing you can understand is whenever you store this, I'll show you how to store moves, store the lines in Lichess. All about it I'll explain right after this. So you can also add these symbols, and you can also add comments. So knight b4, you can see a few comments over here. You can add it so that you get a good idea about what is actually happening. So here queen a4, almost winning a piece, but then knight c6, and d5, again almost winning a piece. But then b5, this was a brilliant move. I was shocked when I faced stakes and bishop f5, threatening knight c2. Knight a3, queen into d5. So black suddenly has got all pieces active. Like I almost got a piece, but when I was about to take it, all this happened, and I lost. Because now takes, I played takes, but queen e4, and I lose a piece. Bishop d2, and takes, knight, queen check, and knight d3. I lost a queen actually, and lost this game. So I've stored it so that it doesn't happen to me again. So next time I get this, I know that instead of queen a4, a3 is the better option. I should just play a3. Or even after d5, even after queen a4 and d5, instead of d5, I should just go a3, which again almost wins a piece, but not quite. That also I have stored in the variation. Knight c5 is there, and then the knight will move away, and the game goes on. But this looks good for me, right? I can just develop. I can just gain more space, and the game continues. So if you go back, this is how I've stored my opening prep. I have my lines as white here, as black here, and flashcards. So let me show you how you can store your opening lines or traps in your opening repertoire in Lichess, so that you can easily access it anytime before a tournament or anytime. So what you need to do is, after you log into Lichess, you have to go to Learn and Study. Lichess Study is the place where we can store our lines and openings and anything, puzzles, etc. So you can go to My Studies. So there you'll see the studies you created. So if you want to create one, you just click on plus over here. And then you have to name your study. So if you want to create an opening repertoire, first let's type white. We'll create a study named for white. Right? Let's just add test so that I don't get confused later. And here you can keep the visibility as invite only and chat only me. Computer, everything else you can keep everyone, but you don't want others to find out your opening prep. So this is the better option. And then you just click on start. Now, once you've created the study, automatically they take you to creating the chapter. So chapters are basically lines. So if you want one chapter as Rule Opus one line, and then another chapter as Juco Piano another line, and then one for Scotch, you can do accordingly. So let's say you play the Scotch as white. So you can just type in the name of your chapter, Scotch main line. And if you want a particular position, or if you want a starting position, you can just click on starting position. It's already there. If you want a particular position, you can just edit the board over here. You can remove all pieces and keep, or you can just make moves here and then get to the position you want. Like you're playing the Scotch, right? So we don't need the first two moves. So let's keep this position and white to play. You can select. And castling, nobody has done. So all sides can castle. Orientation, you should keep as white if it is white repertoire. If you're playing from white side, you keep it as white. And that's it. The chapter is created, first chapter, Scotch main line. From here, you can store your lines. So here, d4, they take, bishop c5. And you can also add a alternative line here. Instead of bishop c5, they can also play, sorry, after bishop c5, let's say you play bishop e3. You can also play knight d3 here, right? That's another line. So that will be stored here as a variation. And you can, if you want, you can add any comment over here. If you go to the move and then go to comment, or just right click and comment on this move, you will be taken to this comment part. You can write anything you want. Like, for example, this is equally good. And if you want to go back, you go to bishop e3, this position. And then after bishop e3, queen f6. Yeah. And you might want to add a variation over there. For example, after knight d4, bishop c5, you have to add that this is a bad move, right? This is a bad move because of queen f6, and black gets the advantage. You can also use computer analysis whenever you make your repertoire so that it's foolproof. So knight into c6, not really suggested by the computer. Oh, it's actually, I mean, it will go. Okay, it's actually fine. Knight into c6. I didn't know that. See, this is why we should use computer. I thought maybe a tougher, more depth computer would tell us knight into c6 not that great, but it's not a bad move. So knight into c6, we have to play queen f6. This is very important, right? Because then if bishop e3 or queen e2, we can just take back and we're fine. Now, one more line that you might want to add is after knight takes, bishop c5, bishop e3, queen f6. Here, definitely they cannot take, right? This would be bad. So you can add a mistake here symbol. Like if you go here, or you can right click and annotate with glyphs. That's an option. So you go click on that, or you go to this position, this button over there, and you can add a dubious move or a mistake for this one, knight into c6, so that when you go through the line, it's easy to understand. So knight into c6, you have to just add the moves there. So if knight into c6, we just play bishop into e3, yeah, and they take back and they take back, and we have a great position. You can also add comments over there. So this part you want to add as a variation, right? Because after queen f6, the main move is c3. So you can just right click there and promote variation. And if you want to delete any particular move or a line, just right click and delete from here. Or if you click here and delete from here, it'll delete the last two moves, last move. So yeah, c3, and that's it. Let's say if you want to continue your prep after c3, you can add knight e7. You can just check the computer for also lines, bishop c4, castles or d6. Yeah, these are the two main moves. d6, castles, and castles. And the game goes on. And one thing you can add is knight d2 is a mistake. Right? You can add it in the comments. Don't play knight d2 ever, because it blocks the queen. And if the queen is blocked, if you play knight d2, then they can take the pawn for free. That's why I added as a thing. So like this, you can add more chapters to your white repertoire. For example, if you want to add, let's say, Rule Opus, Rule Opus main line. Again, you can go to the starting position, and then white to play, you can go to the position where Rule Opus is, uh, Rule Opus starts, so knight f3, knight c6. And from here, you can white orientation and create chapter. And you can make your lines. So you can also add traps in your line. For example, if you're playing white and there is a trap from black, then we have to be adding that to our repertoire. So then your white repertoire would be done. Now you go back, you will see your studies over here. 1 second. If you just refresh the page, you will see the study that you just created over here. You can also sort it to see which one was added first, so it's easier to understand. So now if you want to create another study, which is for black, you can create here plus and black repertoire. And yeah, we can keep it as invite only, nobody or only me, and then start. And then you create your chapters and add up your lines as black. So that is one thing. You can also close this now or add it later. So the study is created. Now you can go back. You can see the chapters here. There's only one chapter. Now, if you go back and if you just reload the page, you will see your latest two studies, white repertoire, black repertoire. Chapters you can see here. And now flashcards. You might wonder what is flashcards. So in my opening prep, apart from the lines that I play as white and black, I've also added the study called flashcards where I include positions from my games, like in the early middle game or in the opening, where there was a winning move and I played it or didn't play it. So whenever there's a winning move in my game, right out of the opening or in the early middle game, then I store it here so that I can just flash through it and get familiar with the positions that can happen. So this kind of tactic, for example, if you go to the first one, if you see here, if I just look quickly, this looks like a Sicilian because the C pawn is not there and a dragon Sicilian, but black is just taken on E5. If I go through this before a tournament or when I prepare, I should try to find the winning move. Can you find the winning move? Right? It's Queen H5, right? So I don't want it here because I want to find out whenever I look at it. And yeah, if I show you one more, let's say this one. This happened from let's see. I've pushed the F pawn and G pawn forward. This looks like a rule opus to me where I've exchanged on C6. And here the winning move. This one is a bit tough. Yeah, what is it? There's a discovered attack. So knight C5. And if queen D8, which is the only way to defend the bishop, we have knight B7. So like this, I can just go through my games. And it also adds to your confidence, right? So it's a good idea to store this as a study. The positions where there's a winning move that happened in your games that you did or you didn't do. Not from your opponent's viewpoint, the ones that you could have done or would do. Because these positions will happen. Our positions similar to this will happen in your games, right? Because the openings you play are the same. So it's a good idea to store these, and this is how I store my. So you can create a study called flashcards, and you can do that. If you want to delete any of these studies, for example, I want to delete these two because these are just created as a test for this video. So let me go to the study. It's a little difficult to delete the study. You have to go here, and then you have to go to down delete study. They ask you to enter the name of the study. It's probably a good idea to not give a long name because you'll have to type it out. And once you enter that, the study is deleted. Yeah, done. And this one also I want to delete. So I go to this one. Settings is also fine, but yeah, here delete study, white repertoire. So you can just add something, add a name like white prep, easier to type. But yeah, I don't want to delete studies unless it's necessary. And I want it to be organized, so I'll go to date, added oldest. So whenever I want to go through my repertoire, I come here. It is always there. Lichess has all the features you need, and it's free. And here, whenever I come here, I go through the lines. And if something happens in my games where I missed a move or there's a new move that I have to remember, I update it over here, and I keep adding lines, which I usually play. If I'm playing a new opening, I add it here as well. And whenever something happens in my games on Lichess, which is related to the opening, then I come here, then I go to the game, and then move it to the study called flashcards. Or if you are playing on another website or you played offline, you can just keep that position here and then save it in the flashcard as a new chapter. So this is how you can prepare your openings, create a foolproof opening repertoire, and use it to win games. Hope you found this video helpful. If you did, please subscribe to my channel for more such content. Thank you, everyone.